The Princess and the Frog. Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom, there was a princess named Sarah who loved playing with her shiny golden ball in the garden. One sunny afternoon, while playing, the princess accidentally let the ball slip from her hands. It bounced away and fell into a deep well. Peering into the well, the princess saw her ball but couldn't reach it. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she realized her precious toy was gone. Suddenly, a voice said,
"Why are you crying, princess?"
She looked around to see a small green frog sitting beside her, looking up with curious eyes. The frog offered to retrieve her ball if she promised to be his friend, let him eat from her plate, drink from her cup, and sleep in her room. Sarah eagerly agreed, desperate to have her ball back. True to his word, the frog dived into the well and returned with the ball. Sarah was overjoyed and ran back to the castle with her ball, forgetting her promise. That evening, the frog approached Sarah's palace and explained the day's events to Sarah's father, the king. The king gently reminded Sarah that she was obliged to keep her promise. Despite her reluctance, the princess honored her promise. The frog joined her at the table, ate from her plate. They shared a drink. He even slept on a silk pillow beside her bed. The next morning, the princess awoke to find, not the frog, but a handsome prince standing before her. The prince explained that he had been cursed by a witch, and only the princess's promise could break the spell. The princess, though taken aback, felt a wave of compassion for the prince and his plight. As the day unfolded, the princess and the prince shared stories in the royal gardens, their easy conversation and laughter bridging the gap between stranger and friend. The princess realized that the prince, once a frog, had always had a kind heart. She learned a valuable lesson that day. True beauty and worth are found not in how one looks, but in the kindness and respect they show to others. This newfound understanding brought them even closer, and as the years passed, their bond grew stronger, and what started as fulfillment of a promise turned into a friendship that blossomed into love. With the blessing of the king and queen, the prince and the princess were married in a splendid ceremony, attended by everyone in the kingdom. The prince and the princess lived happily ever after, ruling their kingdom with kindness and love, never forgetting the magical adventure that brought them together. The end. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a land where magic whispered through the trees, there lived a spirited young girl named Little Red Riding Hood. Known for her dazzling red cloak, a gift from her beloved grandmother, she was the very picture of bravery and joy. One day, her mother, with a sparkle of worry in her eyes, entrusted her with a mission of great importance.
"Deliver these sweet cakes and golden honey to your grandmother,"
she said, handing Red a basket covered with a white cloth.
"But remember, the forest is filled with enchantments. Stay on the path and speak to no one, for shadows lurk behind the beauty."
With a heart full of adventure, Red promised to heed her mother's advice. But as she ventured deeper into the forest, a sense of wonder overtook her. The trees seemed to dance in the wind, and flowers sang melodies only heard in dreams. It was in this enchanted moment that she encountered the wolf, a creature as charismatic as he was cunning.
"Good day, dear child."
The wolf greeted, his voice smooth as silk.
"The forest is vast and full of treasures. Why not stray from the path and explore its wonders?"
Little Red Riding Hood, remembering her mother's words, but captivated by the idea of adventure, hesitated. It was then that the wolf spun tales of hidden gardens and streams that sparkled under the moonlight, tempting her further. But with a shake of her head, she held her resolve.
"I must not. My grandmother awaits these treats,"
she declared, though she told the wolf of her destination, a slip that sparked a wicked plan in his mind. Racing ahead, the wolf reached grandmother's house first. Using a trick as old as time and speaking in a sweet voice, he deceived the grandmother. When she opened the door, he scared her and quickly led her to the basement. There, he tied her to a chair and took her place in bed, a disguise in place for the final act. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she immediately sensed something amiss.
Grandmother, what big eyes you have.
She said, her voice quivering with a mix of fear and curiosity.
All the better to see you.
With my dear,
The wolf responded, his voice barely containing the growl within. With each question, Little Red Riding's suspicion grew, until at last the wolf could bear the charade no longer. He leapt from the bed, revealing himself in a dramatic flourish. Just as Little Red Riding Hood realized the danger, she called out for help, her voice echoing through the forest. By chance, a kind-hearted woodcutter was passing by. Hearing her cries, he rushed to the grandmother's house, axe in hand. A tense battle started in the room between the woodcutter and the wolf. Sounds of their struggle bounced around the room, showing how hard each one was trying to win. In the meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood helped her grandmother out of the basement. The wolf, realizing he was no match for the woodcutter's bravery, fled into the forest, never to trouble Little Red Riding Hood or her grandmother again. In the end, Little Red Riding Hood, her grandmother, and the brave woodcutter gathered together, safe and sound. As they shared the treats Red had brought, they reflected on the day's adventures. Little Red Riding Hood learned a valuable lesson: the importance of being cautious and listening to the advice of those who care about us. She realized that while the world is full of wonders, it's also home to dangers, and being aware of them is part of growing up. The end. The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, in a sun-kissed meadow surrounded by flowers of every hue, there was a beautiful pond. In this pond, a mother duck was watching over her nest, eagerly awaiting the arrival of her ducklings. One by one, the eggs began to crack. Crack, crack, crack! Each egg revealed a fluffy yellow duckling, all except for one. This last egg was larger and took a bit more time. Finally, with a loud crack, it opened to reveal a duckling unlike the others, with scruffy feathers in a patchwork of grays, browns, and off-white and squeaky quack. The mother duck was surprised to see the scruffy duckling, but she quickly nuzzled the unique duckling with a love that knew no bounds, whispering softly,
"You're special, my little one, and you'll see that your differences make you extraordinary."
At first, the scruffy duckling tried to play with his siblings, hopping and splashing with glee. But it wasn't long before the difference in his appearance became the talk of the pond. The other ducklings began to whisper and stare, making him feel out of place. One sunny day, as the ducklings played tag on the water's edge, the scruffy duckling eagerly waddled over, hoping to join in. But as he approached, the laughter stopped. One bold duckling, fluffing his feathers, said,
You can't play with us. You're too different. You don't look like us and you don't sound like us. You are ugly. Maybe you should just go away.
Hearing those words was like a cold splash of pond water. The scruffy duckling's heart sank. He didn't understand why looking different meant he couldn't join the fun. With a heavy heart and a quack that was more of a squeak, he turned away. At this moment, he decided to venture beyond the pond, hoping to find a place where he belonged. After leaving home, the little duckling found shelter with a hen, a cat, and an old lady. While they were kind, the hen often taunted him about his looks. Deep inside, he felt a strong longing for the water, a place where he truly felt he belonged. He missed the water too much, so he left. However, when winter came, he found himself trapped in the ice. Luckily, a kind-hearted man found him. He took the duckling home, providing him with warmth and a fresh start within his family. His children played with the duckling, attempting to bring it comfort. However, the duckling became frightened by the loud noises and fast movements, causing him to run away. Throughout a challenging winter, he demonstrated his strength and bravery by enduring it alone. Soon it was spring, and his journey took a turn. He met a friendly frog who taught him how to leap high into the air, a wise owl who shared stories of distant lands, and a squirrel who shared secret acorn stashes. Each new friend taught the duckling something valuable, not just about the world, but about himself. He learned that being different was not a burden, but a gift that allowed him to see the world uniquely. As the seasons changed, so did our little duckling. His feathers took on a shimmering glow, reflecting the golden sunlight in a dazzling display. His journey led him to a breathtaking lake, where he encountered the most graceful creatures he'd ever seen.
Who are you?
He asked in awe.
We are swans, and so are you,
replied a majestic swan, with a smile as warm as the spring sun. Looking at his reflection, the duckling, no, the swan, saw himself for the first time. A beautiful swan. His heart danced with joy. He had found his place in the world, not by changing who he was, but by embracing it. The swan soared high and proud, sharing his story with all, teaching that our quirks and differences are what make us unique. Now and then, he'd visit the pond, sharing tales of adventure and the magic of believing in oneself. And so, the duckling who once felt out of place became a beloved swan, celebrated for his uniqueness and the journey that led him to find his wings. The end. Rapunzel. Once upon a time, in a cozy little village, there lived a joyful couple who eagerly awaited the arrival of their first child. Right next to their home lay a charming garden, boasting the lushest, most vibrant cabbages anyone had ever laid eyes on. This garden belonged to a witch, known for her magical powers and her love for her plants. One day, the wife saw the cabbages and wanted nothing more but to eat them. "I must have those cabbages," she told her husband, "or I'll be really sad." Her loving husband, wanting to make her happy, waited until it was dark, climbed over the garden wall, and grabbed the crunchiest cabbage for his wife. The wife was delighted and craved even more. But, oh no, the next time he went for cabbage, the witch caught him.
"How dare you steal my cabbages?"
she exclaimed.
"Please."
The husband pleaded.
"My wife, she's having a baby and she really wants your cabbages."
The witch thought for a moment and then said,
"All right, you can have the cabbages, but in return you must give me your first child."
The couple was heartbroken, but they agreed, hoping the witch might forget. Time passed, and a beautiful baby girl was born. They named her Rapunzel. But, as promised, the witch came and took Rapunzel away. She placed Rapunzel in a secluded tall tower in the forest. Though she was supposed to be mean, the witch couldn't help but like Rapunzel. As Rapunzel got older, she and the witch had so much fun together. They told each other funny stories, played goofy games, and laughed a lot. Rapunzel was like a bright, shining light that made the witch feel happy. Rapunzel's golden hair grew longer and longer because the witch, not knowing much about kids, never thought to cut her hair. Rapunzel, always curious, would ask, "Why can't I go outside?"
"The world is too scary. You're safe here with me,"
the witch would reply. But as the seasons changed and Rapunzel grew up, things started to change a bit. The witch, who got busy with her magic, couldn't visit Rapunzel as much. Now, she could only come by once a week. Rapunzel began to feel lonely in her tower, missing the fun times they used to have. She made friends with birds and sang songs to pass the time. The witch, fearing Rapunzel would escape, had magically removed the stairs of the tower. Now, the only way up was Rapunzel's long golden hair. When the witch visited, she'd call,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Rapunzel would then let her hair down, and the witch would climb up. One sunny day, a prince, lost in the forest, heard Rapunzel singing.
"What a lovely voice,"
he thought. He found the tower and watched the witch climb up Rapunzel's hair. After the witch left, he tried it too.
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Who are you?
Rapunzel asked, surprised.
"I'm a prince, and I heard your beautiful voice. Can I come up to visit you?"
he asked.
Yes, please do.
Rapunzel smiled, and so the prince climbed up the tower. They quickly became friends and spent hours talking. As the prince and Rapunzel's meetings became more frequent, their days were filled with laughter, stories, and dreams shared under the sheltering sky of the tower's window. Rapunzel dreamed of exploring enchanted forests full of secrets and places with skies of new colors. The thought of leaving her tower to see the wide, beautiful world filled her with an exciting happiness she had never known before. Seeing Rapunzel so happy and full of dreams, the prince promised he would talk to the witch about letting Rapunzel leave the tower. Their plan seemed perfect until the witch, suspecting something, decided to make a surprise visit the next day. she saw the prince climbing the tower with Rapunzel's help. Furious at this betrayal, the witch waited for the prince to leave and then confronted Rapunzel. In her anger, she scolded Rapunzel and cut off her beautiful long hair as punishment. She also planned to turn the prince blind. The very next day, when the prince returned, eager to see Rapunzel, the witch, holding the cut hair, tricked him. She dropped the hair out the window, and the prince climbed up, not realizing what awaited him. As he reached the top and saw not Rapunzel but the witch with Rapunzel's hair in her hands, his heart sank. Enraged at the sight, he drew his sword at lightning speed, intending to protect Rapunzel at all costs. Rapunzel intervened.
"She's like my mother. Please leave her alive,"
Rapunzel said. By the time the witch realized what Rapunzel had just said, the spell had worked, and the prince was blind. In that moment, everything changed. The witch felt ashamed and knew she had to make amends. She didn't mean to hurt him or Rapunzel. She just didn't want to be alone. Rapunzel's kindness and love for her melted the witch's heart. She used her magic to restore Rapunzel's hair and the prince's vision.
"Forgive me,"
she whispered, her voice shaking.
"I've seen through your eyes the power of compassion."
From that day forward, the witch vowed to use her powers for good. Rapunzel and the prince, grateful for her change of heart, invited her to be part of their lives. Together, they returned to the kingdom, where they were greeted with joy and celebration. Rapunzel also reunited with her parents. And so they all lived happily ever after, their lives enriched by forgiveness and understanding. The end. The Three Little Pigs. Once upon a time, in a vibrant village surrounded by lush green fields and singing rivers, lived three playful pigs named Tinku, Minku, and Rinku. One sunny morning, their wise mother said, "My dear sons, it's time you build your own homes." And so the adventure began. Rinku, always quick to play and dance, and a little lazy, thought,
"I'll build my house in a jiffy."
Gathering bundles of straw, he swiftly constructed a cozy straw house. With his house done, he had all the time to dance to the tunes of Bollywood hits under the mango trees. Minku, who loved to dream and relax, decided,
"A house of sticks will do for me."
He carefully picked sticks from the nearby forest and built a quaint stick house. Soon, he was lost in the stories of grand Indian epics. Tinku, however, was a pig of plans and dreams. He knew he wanted a strong, sturdy house.
"Bricks will build my dream home,"
he thought. With patience and hard work, he laid each brick carefully, building a beautiful brick house that stood tall and proud, just like the forts of ancient India. Then, one day, a sneaky wolf wandered into the village. The wolf, with a sly grin, arrived first at Rinku's house, which was made of straw. Standing tall, with a gleam in his eye, the wolf called out,
"Rinku, dear pig, let me in, or I'll huff and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down."
Rinku, looking scared, responded,
"Not by the whiskers of my chinny chin chin will I let you in."
The wolf huffed and puffed at the straw house. But alas, the straw house could not withstand the wolf's mighty gusts and tumbled down. Rinku scampered to Minku's stick house. Undeterred, the wolf moved on to Minku's stick house, repeating his threat.
"Minku, dear pig, open up, or I'll huff and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down."
"Not by the whiskers of my chinny chin chin will I let you in."
Minku, also looking scared, responded. Yet, once again, the sticks scattered like leaves in the wind under the force of the wolf's breath. Rinku and Minku ran to Tinku's brick house. They informed Tinku about the wolf. Finally, the wolf approached Tinku's brick house, puffing out his chest.
"Tinku, dear pig, you must let me in, or I'll huff and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down."
Tinku, standing firm with the confidence of his hard work, declared,
"Not by the whiskers of my chinny chin chin will I let you in."
And so the wolf huffed and he puffed, but Tinku's brick house stood strong. He tried again and again, but the house did not break. Exhausted and defeated, the wolf finally gave up and left the village forever. After their homes fell, Rinku and Minku admired Tinku's solid brick house.
Tinku, brother, your home is as strong as a mountain,
exclaimed Rinku.
While we played and laced, you worked hard and planned, and now we see the strength of a job well done,
added Minku. Tinku smiled at his brothers and said,
It's not just about the bricks and the labor. It's about building something to last, something that can protect us and be our true home.
As they huddled inside the cozy brick house, Rinku and Minku made a promise to themselves. From that day forward, they would not take shortcuts or settle for the easy path. Inspired by Tinku's example, they decided to rebuild their homes, this time with care and diligence. And so, the three little pigs worked together to build 2 new homes, as strong and secure as the first. They learned that only through hard work and perseverance can one create something of true value and strength. In the end, Tinku, Minku, and Rinku lived happily, not just because of their safe homes, but because they had discovered the joy of hard work and its lasting rewards. The end.
Like, share, and subscribe for more.